All right, my YouTube family, I've got some dramatic news to share with you about the housing market. Millions of people feel like we're living in a new world run by lunatics, where affordability is nearly impossible now for millions and millions of people. And when it comes specifically to the housing market, what you're about to see in this short video clip proves that anybody that's waiting for a housing market crash or collapse will likely be waiting for a very long time.
There's so much talk about, we're going to drive housing prices down. I don't want to drive housing prices down. I want to drive housing prices up for people that own their homes. And they can be assured that's what's going to happen.
Now, whether you agree with that or not, that clip matters because it shows you that there's no real urgency from the top for home prices to come down. And what you're about to see with these upcoming headlines and listings is going to show you why so many buyers right now are incredibly frustrated. What's going on, my YouTube friends? Jerry Abbott here, your go-to Las Vegas realtor. I break down what's really happening in the Las Vegas and US housing market each week, so make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. And if you are thinking about relocating to beautiful Las Vegas, I've got your back. I'm a local real estate agent here. I've lived here for over 20 years. I know every inch of this city. When that time is right for you, definitely reach out to me. Just call, text, or email me anytime, and I'll help you find that perfect dream home. Let's dive into the video. So as you saw in that beginning video clip, the goal of this administration is to keep home prices elevated. And one of the things that's likely going to do that, you could see right next to me, we just hit 4-year lows on mortgage rates, and that's not by accident. And here in Las Vegas, you can also see that we're starting to lean towards more of a buyer's market from what the media headlines are saying, but it's not just because rates are low, it's because of this. All right, so let's take a look at this interesting chart. Now take a look at the very top where it says comparing median home prices, Las Vegas versus expensive states. Now take a look at the left column there. You can see at the top it says Hawaii, then California, Massachusetts, Washington, New York, and then Las Vegas at the bottom. Now the top 5 states there, starting with Hawaii, those are the 5 most expensive states to purchase a home in. You can see right across in the middle there next to Hawaii, $957,000 is the median home price. And when you go over to the right column where it says plus $487,000, that goes to show you the difference in buying a home in Hawaii compared to the Las Vegas home price that you can see down at the bottom middle of the chart at $470,000. All right, so now let's look at the next one right next to California in the middle of the chart, $906,000. And then on the far right side of the chart, it says plus $436,000. So you're spending $436,000 more to buy a home in California on average than you would in Las Vegas. The next one down, Massachusetts, right in the middle, $702,000. And then you can see on the far right, $232,000 more to buy a home in Massachusetts compared to Las Vegas. The next one down, Washington at $690,000. Over on the right, $220,000 difference and more cost to buy a home in Washington than Las Vegas. And then at the bottom there, you can see New York at $586,000. And then on the far right, $116,000 more to buy a home in New York compared to Las Vegas. Now, here's the thing. A lot of people that live in these expensive markets are now waking up to a couple of realities as to why it's advantageous for them to buy homes in Las Vegas. Number one, if they own a home in an expensive market and they have a lot of equity, they can sell the home and easily afford a home in Las Vegas. But the other big factor is we have very low property taxes here in Las Vegas, and we also have no state income tax. So people in these wealthier, more expensive states are able to save a lot more money overall, not just from a home standpoint, but from a tax standpoint. And that's why this market has been propped up by those people, especially that live in places, especially like California, because they can easily buy homes here and save a lot of money. So you can clearly see in that previous chart that a lot of people who are coming from these expensive markets can easily afford to buy a home in Las Vegas. And that is what's been propping up most of the Las Vegas market. Now, with that said, a lot of the sellers here who are selling their homes in Las Vegas are trying still to get top dollar. And a lot of these sellers, unfortunately, are being unrealistic with their selling prices still. And I want to show you a few examples of that now coming up. All right, so now I'm on the popular real estate website Zillow, and this week I want to show you 3 specific examples of Las Vegas homes for sale, starting in the luxury category and then working down below the median price point here, because these 3 examples that I'm about to show you are just a few of the many examples of homeowners that are still trying to get a premium for their house. They've reduced the price maybe a little bit, but these homes have been sitting on the market for a long period of time. They're not waking up to the realization that their homes are still very likely overpriced and they're sitting there unsold. So let's take a look at this first example. This is a luxury home. You can see on the lower left side of the screen that this home is essentially listed right now for $2 million. It's a 5-bedroom, 3-bath, nearly 4,300 square foot home, but let's take a look at the full price history down below. All right, so take a look down at the bottom of the screen in that blue highlight. Down at the bottom left side of the highlight, the date says 1/5/2024. So we're going back just a little bit more than 2 years ago when this home was sold brand new for $1,352,000. Now, if you look just above it in that date on the left yellow highlight, it says 4/30/2025. So after this home was purchased, about 15 months later, the sellers put this home on the market for $2.2 million, which was massively overpriced. And you can see as I scroll up here, they did a couple of price changes, and then right in the middle of the screen there in that other yellow highlight, you can see they removed the listing at the $2 million mark, and then they relisted it back in December, again for $1,997,000. So this is a perfect example of a homeowner that was far too aggressive on the original list price because they bought the home for about $1.35 million only a couple of years ago, and they try to make almost $1 million on the home. The home is still overpriced because in this particular community, the homes are going for about $1.8 million or $1.9 million. So again, when sellers are too aggressive, these homes are sitting on the market unsold. This has now been on and off the market for almost a year, and they still can't find a buyer. So if you are a buyer, especially in the luxury category, you definitely want to be patient and negotiate aggressively with sellers like this because they know they're still overpriced, and now some of them are willing to compromise in order for them to be finally sold. All right, so now let's take a look at this second example of another Las Vegas home for sale. Now we're definitely coming way down in price. This is below the luxury category, which here in Las Vegas is right at about $1 million. You can see on the lower left side of the screen, this home is currently listed for sale for $790,000. It's a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,637 square foot home in a guard-gated, higher-end area in the west side of the Las Vegas Valley. But again, let's take a look at the full price history here and how long this home has been sitting on the market. All right, so again, take a look down at the bottom of the screen in the blue highlight. Down at the bottom left side of the highlight, the date says 5/12/2017. So we're going back almost 9 years ago when this home was sold for just $473,000. This was, of course, before the pandemic and before prices skyrocketed in places like Las Vegas. Now, if you look at the date just above it in that left yellow highlight, the date says 8/25/2025. So about 8 years later, they listed this home for sale, you can see, for $800,000. Definitely overpriced, even in this type of community. Then they removed the listing at $800,000. And then you can see right in the middle of the screen in that other yellow highlight, they relisted it right at the very beginning of February for $790,000. Now let's just stop the clock and think about this for a second. This home was sold about 9 years ago for just $473,000. The sellers put this home on the market for $800,000, which was overpriced because in this particular community, this home is probably worth about $750,000. So they are still overpriced. They've been on the market for 6 months. And when they removed the listing and then they put it back on the market, you can see that they only reduced the price $10,000, which is very insignificant. And again, it's another homeowner that's being too greedy and too aggressive with this price. And again, the market doesn't lie. That's why the home is sitting unsold, because it's overpriced, and the sellers, again, are being stubborn because they want a number that they can't get. So if you're a buyer, especially at these kind of price points, you definitely want to negotiate with these types of sellers because, again, some of them might say no, but you've got nothing to lose because when these homes have been on the market for many months, sometimes sellers finally acquiesce and they lower the price to something more realistic. All right, so now let's take a look at this third and final example of another Las Vegas home for sale. Now we're coming way down in price. The median price point here in Las Vegas, just so you know, is about $470,000. You can see on the lower left side of the screen, this home is currently listed for $440,000. So we're about $30,000 on this home below the median price point. Now, just above the price, you can see in that small red text, it says price cut of $10,000 that happened just about a week or so ago. Now, this is a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,500 square foot home. But first, I want to just show you this when I scroll up here just a little bit. Take a look over on the left side there in that yellow highlight. It says 145 days on Zillow, which perfectly illustrates again that the market doesn't lie. When your home is sitting on the market for weeks or months like this particular home, it just goes to show you that this seller is not being realistic at all with the price point. And wait till you see the full price history now down below. All right, so one more time, take a look down at the bottom of the screen in that blue highlight. Down at the bottom left side of the highlight, the date says 4/5/2025. So we're going back about 10 months or so ago when this home was originally listed for sale for $525,000. Now, I'm not going to bore you with all of the price changes and the reductions, but you can see as I scroll up here, you can see right in the middle there in that yellow highlight where it says price change, $440,000. So this home has now been on the market for nearly a year. They've dropped the price $85,000 and the seller still can't find a buyer. There's a couple of reasons for that. Number one, of course, the home is still overpriced. Number two, the condition of the home also matters a lot in this particular market because there's a lot more inventory out there now. So again, it just goes to show you that there are still so many sellers that are overpricing their homes and they're coming down a little bit, sometimes a lot, but they're still having trouble finding buyers because in many instances, these sellers still have to continue to reduce prices if they want their homes to sell. And this is where the word lunatics comes from, not because prices are high, but because many of these sellers who bought many years ago have a lot of margin built into these homes and they still choose to wildly overprice their homes while they sit on the market without any real price adjustments. Now, before I end today's video, I just want to give a shout out to my favorite comment from last week's video, and that goes to Prestige. Now, I'm going to put their comments up on full screen, read it to you guys, and then come back on the other side and give you my thoughts. So Prestige wrote, home prices are bottoming, and with lower interest rates most likely incoming, and the summer buying season is going to bring more people back into the housing market and prices will rise again. No 2008 housing crash incoming due to corporations and 1%, as well as California billions tax and the migration of millionaires thinking they're next. Now, this is one of those infrequent type of comments that I get on my channel because a lot of people overwhelmingly think that the housing market is going to collapse or crash. But this person who's actually looking at some of the data, which is exactly what I'm talking about as well, when we see lower interest rates coming now into the market and we see a lot of wealthy people who can easily afford to buy homes, this is not a 2008 repeat coming with another type of real estate crash that we had nearly 20 years ago. Now, I want to get your thoughts. I want to know whether or not you agree with that person's comment and you think that the market is going to stay elevated due to the reasons that he stated in his comment, or do you think the market is going to collapse or crash? And I want to know why you think that. And my favorite comment from this week's video, I'm going to give a direct on-screen shout out to in next week's video. So when we step back and we look at the big picture, there's very little pressure right now pushing home prices down. Washington's policy right now is very comfortable with keeping home prices elevated. We're now starting to see the lowest mortgage rates that we've seen in the last 4 years. And a lot of sellers, not just here in Las Vegas, but throughout the country, have a lot of equity in their homes and they have no urgency really to sell. And as we now head into the popular spring buying season, especially with lower rates and especially in popular cities like Las Vegas, even though there's about 7,000 Las Vegas homes for sale, the urgency to buy now is becoming greater because a lot of these prospective buyers are seeing these lower interest rates. Now, again, a lot of people want to sit on the sidelines. They want to see if prices come down more or interest rates come down more. And some people right now, a lot of people actually, are starting to jump back into the market. Now, if you are thinking about buying a home, whether it's here in Las Vegas or anywhere in the country, look for these homes that have been on the market for a long period of time and negotiate aggressively with these sellers because you have nothing to lose. Now, if you are thinking about buying a home, especially here in the Las Vegas market, I've got your back. I'm a local real estate agent here. I've lived here for over 20 years. I know every inch of this city. When that time is right for you, definitely reach out to me. Just call, text, or email me anytime, and I'll help you find that perfect dream home. I'll see you in the next video.